Do you approve of the job all levels of government have done during the pandemic?
In a super challenging environment, the government's done as well as I think it can. I think there's been some issues on the provincial level with rollout of vaccines, but you know, we've never done this before, so I'm cutting them a little bit of a break.
Well, it seems to be consensus on most parts.
Yeah.
And federally?
Federally, I think we've done as well as we can in this environment. Everybody's vying for trying to get the vaccine, and they've been very supportive of people who've had to not work. So I think that's been really good.
Federally, I think honestly, all government has had a fantastically difficult job to do. It's trying to manage a stalling economy and trying to ensure that people within the country have got the ability to support themselves with obviously money provided by the government. It's incredibly difficult. So yeah, the federal government has done a good job managing obviously all of the support programs that they have. I think they could have maybe moved forward with some of them a little bit faster out of the gate, but other than that, they are doing a good job with it. The provincial government has been doing a good job trying to manage vaccine rollouts. It would be great if all frontline staff, including educators and people working all sorts of sectors, are able to receive that first, because obviously they have contact with the most daily people anytime. So yeah, I would say the government is doing a fairly good job.
I think the federal government's been doing a good job given the circumstances they're in. And the challenges they faced. I think that they've had to manage a very challenging situation.
And how about the provincial?
The provincial government here has been inconsistent, and I think the provinces across the country have struggled, and that could be part of our problem, is we've got so many different approaches across the country.
No.
And you can elaborate on that if you want. So why do you think that?
Because I believe there were pandemic plans in place, and they were never looked at or never used. And some of them were to be updated and have not been looked at or updated as it was deemed to be done.
Federal, provincial?
The federal for sure, but I do know that at all three levels of government there are pandemic plans that haven't been used.
There's been quite a bit of issue with getting the vaccines into Canada, I think. And distribution has been a bit of an issue as well, getting them in. So I think overall there could be better organization to get the vaccines from other countries to us. I think that we failed in having the ability to have vaccines produced in Canada, but I understand they are trying to rectify that situation now.
I think the federal government probably could have gotten us vaccines sooner, it feels like to me, and I think provincially, I'd say Jason Kenney has a really difficult job. He's trying to kind of pander to his base while at the same time realize that, the public health's at stake. So my personal view is that we probably should be considering lockdowns of schools and be a little bit more aggressive on that front. That being said, I don't think it's a terrible response, but I certainly think first responders and school teachers and some of those that are at the front lines still right now that don't have vaccines should have them by now.
Well, I have to say I don't envy them with their job. It's been a difficult one. It's been very difficult, and I think they've done the best they could because there are so many unknowns. I call them uncertainties. So I thank them for all the work they're doing.
They're doing pretty good, I think they are. Dr. Heather Morrison's the main kingpin there. Well, she knows what she's doing, and she's got it under control.
The provincial government's working really well. I'm really proud of the work that Heather Morrison is doing and Dennis King and the provincial government is doing. It seems like in the other provinces there's having some issues, but I think it has a lot to do with maybe their restrictions aren't working and just the population that is in the larger provinces. But I'm really seeing that the provincial government's doing well here on PEI.
It's tough when the health judiciary is provincial for the federal government to really step in, but I think that they've tried to provide as much support to the premiers as they can, and I think that financially they've really stepped up to the plate for Canadians.
I'd just like to see some more balance, but as it stands right now, the vaccination program has started, so I think it's not going to be an issue soon anyway.
I definitely think there's been some decisions that were more so in favor of the economy rather than the actual safety of the islanders here. So
the only sort of criticism that I've ever had from the start, and it's kind of from the outside looking in, so who knows how fair it really is I guess the vaccine rollout, whenever we look at the States vaccinating 3-4 million people a day, obviously they have the benefit of having in-house production, whereas we're kind of relying on getting the vaccines in from other countries. I don't know how difficult it would have been to get our own kind of in-house manufacturing done for the vaccines. Like, that might be a tall order, but obviously that would have helped a ton if we could have produced our own vaccines.
Nobody wanted this to happen, and I don't think anybody would wish for this on anyone, right? So I think everyone's managing it as best they can. I'm sure hindsight will be 20/20 and we'll have a lot of learnings from it, but I wouldn't say that there's anything on my mind that's really a major issue for me at the moment.
I think they're doing good for the most part. There's always things when you look back in retrospect that could be changed or adjusted, but there's never been a pandemic for a long time, so everybody's new to it and everybody has to learn to go through the gears.